have me do. I'll do the best that I can do, and offer all I do to you with all my heart, with all my heart. You give me songs my heart can sing, with light and grace each day you bring, and walk with me through everything this life does impart, this life does impart. I'm really just a flute you play. You give me all the words to say, and guide me through each night and day of time's endless rounds, of time's endless rounds. Oh, you who have stolen my heart and filled up each and every part with your love, with your name you do impart your songs and the sounds, your songs and the sounds. Whatever you would have me do, I'll do the best that I can do, and offer all I do to you with all my heart, with all my heart, with all my heart.
Om Tadekam Smaramas-tadekam Bhajamaha Tadekam Jagat Sakshirupam Namamaha Sadekam Nidhanam Niralambamisham Bhavam Bodhipotam Sharanyam Rajamaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. On that alone do we meditate, that alone do we worship, to that alone, the witness of the universe, do we bow. To that one who is our sole eternal support, the self-existent Lord, the raft to safety across the ocean of this world, do we come for refuge. Om, peace, peace, peace. Good morning. Friends, it's a treat to be with you this morning, and our topic today is the first steps in meditation. Why is this important? The world is on fire. Everywhere we find tremendous violence going on, so many wars raging, so much cruelty, so much suffering, tremendous suffering, and we ask, where is peace? Where is peace? All in this world long to find peace. We long to have a peaceful world, and yet we see it's not a peaceful world. Where is that peace? Where is it? Swami Vivekananda asks us, he says, what madness, what lunacy are the men of this world engaged in, fighting with and slaughtering one another the whole day long? But how long can this go on? In the evening, all must return to the mother's lap. So he asks us, how long must this go on? In the evening, at the end of life, when the sun goes down, when things wind down, where will we go? We will all go to the Divine Mother's lap. We go back to our source, back to that infinite peace, which is the Divine Mother or the Divine Father, however we may conceive of the Divine. We are to go there. So why wait for evening? why not go now to the Divine Mother's lap where we taste that peace? Where will we find peace? We find it deep within us. That's our Vedantic approach. We find that peace deep within us. And how do we do that? By spiritual practice. One of the essential components of that spiritual practice is meditation. So today I want to talk a little bit about some of the first steps in meditation, the foundations of a meditative life. Some of you I know are seasoned meditators. You meditate very regularly every day. Others of you maybe meditate sometimes. Others of you maybe think you ought to meditate, but haven't quite gotten there yet. And there may be others among you who are not even interested in meditation. You've just got dragged along here by somebody or something. I hope there's something for each of you in our talk today. So these first steps in meditation, building a foundation for a meditative life. How do we do that? And first we might ask, well, why should we meditate? I've covered that a little bit so that we can taste some of that peace that lies deep within us. It lies deep within all of us. And yet we also know how tremendously difficult it is. So we need some guidance, some simple steps that we can take which will help us in our meditation so that we can develop a daily habit, learn to go deep, learn to touch that peace, learn to touch the divine which lies in our hearts, which is the very basis of our being. What do I mean when I talk about meditation? Meditation is widely discussed in popular culture and social media and the news and medicine and all that. Mostly what people mean when they talk about meditation in the wider society, they're talking about mindfulness meditation, a Buddhist-inspired mindfulness meditation. Sit quietly, watch your breath. As thoughts come, just watch them come and watch them go. And no doubt it is a powerful practice. And there have been some formidable teachers of this practice, including one of the best known is Thich Nhat Hanh. Perhaps some of you have heard of him. The insight meditation. It's not actually what we talk about in Vedanta when we talk about meditation. Now, in the Catholic tradition, meditation means something very different. Here's a quote from Saint Alphonsus. He says, "In meditation, God is sought after by a discursive effort. In contemplation, there is no effort of this kind, as God has been found and is gazed at." It's interesting, the Catholics would call contemplation what we actually might call meditation. And what we might call contemplation, thinking over something, doing some prayer, some reflection on a scriptural passage, they would call meditation. So they reverse the terms. What the term we use is dhyana. It's a Sanskrit term, and it refers to a one-pointed flow of the mind towards an object. In our case, the object being God, or any conception of the divine, or our higher self, or that well of peace that lies deep within us. The mind becomes completely focused on that one idea or principle. And often we take the help of a name, a divine name, or even a divine form, the form of a great spiritual teacher. There is also a state beyond meditation when even that flow of the mind stops, and it's complete cessation of all mental activity. This is the true state of yoga, and it is in this state that enlightenment occurs, that we realize our oneness with the divine. But that's an advanced state. Let's start with the first steps in meditation. We'll get there, but we have to start at the bottom of the staircase. We can't jump to the top. So, why meditate? People have all kinds of reasons. Good health. They want better health. They want peace of mind. It's a part of religious life, so I ought to meditate. I want better concentration in school so I can get better grades. These are all good reasons to meditate. But there's a more urgent call for meditation, and that is when we hear that call to find God, when we hear that call to find the infinite which lies deep within us. That call is always resounding. Can we hear it? Can we hear that call? Then we have a very powerful driving force for our meditation. It becomes not just about, well, I want good health, not just about, I want concentration. Those things will come. It becomes about finding our destiny in union with God. So the teachers of meditation in our tradition, in the teachers of Raja Yoga, they describe 8 steps towards this meditation and this state even beyond meditation called samadhi, or when the mind is completely suspended. 8 steps. And interestingly, before they talk about, we think meditation, okay, you sit down, you start breathing, you chant a mantra or something. Before they talk about any of that, the first 2 steps are devoted to developing your character. We are to develop our character. And that actually forms the foundation of meditation. That doesn't mean, I'm not suggesting, okay, don't meditate until you've developed your character. We do all these things simultaneously. We practice meditation, we practice all the steps as best we can. But it's very helpful to look at these specific recommendations that the teachers give. Why do they ask us to work on our character? Because a mind out of balance, a personality out of balance, out of harmony with itself, out of harmony with the spiritual laws which govern this universe, is going to be a mind that will not be easy to calm down and meditate with. So, the very foundation of a meditative life, of a practice of meditation, is a life in harmony with spiritual principles. If we tell a lie at work, there's a disharmony created between our words and our thoughts. We know one thing, and we're saying another. That's causing a disharmony. And we want to take that same mind and meditate. It's going to be difficult. So that's why truthfulness is one of the foundations of meditation. The very first foundation is ahimsa. You've heard the term, many of you. It means not harming any being, not harming anyone. But they take it to 3 levels. Not by body, by action. Okay, maybe most of us, I hope, are not harming other people physically. We're not beating our kids or our spouses, I hope. We're not getting into fights with our co-workers, right? But they say, no, you have to take it also to the level of speech. Not harming anyone in our words. That's a much higher order of things, isn't it? To not even say that nasty comment to our co-worker or our spouse or our mother or father when we get into an argument. And they take it one step further. Not even in thought are we to harm another. Swami Vivekananda, in commenting on this practice of Raja Yoga, this practice of meditation, cautions us, every vicious thought will rebound. When I first read this, I still remember where I was sitting on the subway in Washington, D.C., going somewhere and reading this teaching, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. Oh my God, a vicious thought itself will rebound, will come back to me and bring misery to me. So, we're asked to, through right action, through right speech, and through right thought, develop our character in such a way that that impulse to harm others is attenuated, gradually attenuated, and finally overcome. So that's really the very first step in meditation, is cultivating this ahimsa. And then there are 9 other disciplines. I won't go through each of them in depth, but let's talk about a couple of others. There's truthfulness. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, "Let there be no theft in the chamber of your heart." This is exactly what he was talking about, hypocrisy. When we present ourselves in one way, but inside we're feeling something else. We say one thing, but we're thinking another. It's a theft. We're stealing from ourselves, actually. We're harming ourselves. When we can understand this principle of karma, that when we do a negative action, like harming someone else, or speaking an untruth, or stealing something, the one that we're harming most is ourselves. When the truth of that hits home, then actually these disciplines become easy. Because who wants to harm him or herself? So we attain harmony through these practices, not stealing. Now, most of us are not, I hope, stealing or being forced to steal groceries from the grocery store or jewelry from the jewelry store, those kind of things. But what about stealing a look at my spouse's emails when she left her computer on? Did she give me permission to look at them? That's stealing a look, isn't it? It's also a kind of theft. So theft can be understood on different levels. There's brahmacharya, this beautiful ideal of moving in Brahman, moving always in the absolute, always knowing ourselves to be in the divine, surrounded by God within and without. And interestingly, this term has also come specifically to mean being very careful with that urge in all of us to procreate, that urge in all of us to have sex. It's a very strong urge, and brahmacharya means, for monks, they practice celibacy as part of their practice. And for householders, they practice strict fidelity to their partners. That force that wants us to procreate, to reproduce, to have children, and also to enjoy the bodies of others is very strong. If we can take that force and stop directing it outwards, it's very difficult because our culture, the whole social media and television and movies, it's all, so much of it is celebrating the full expression of that instinct. Yes, we can express it. It's an important part of a committed spiritual partnership. It can be an important part of that. But don't waste it. Don't waste that power. It's tremendous. If we conserve it, it becomes part of the foundation for our meditation. There's aparigraha, restraining the impulse to acquire, which is also relevant in this age when inventors are constantly coming up with new things and have learned how to convince us that we need them and can't do without them. So this impulse to acquire, I have to have the latest phone, I have to have the latest car, I have to have that newfangled iron which steams and irons at the same time and even folds my clothes for me. Goodness gracious. Restraining that impulse to acquire. These are called the restraints, these 5 restraints. And there's 5 more. I'll just touch on them. Cleanliness and purity. Physical cleanliness helps support mental cleanliness. If we don't take a shower for a few days, our mind is also going to feel off, no? Every day we bathe the body and we bathe the mind. Here's an interesting one. Contentment. The teachers of meditation ask us to learn to develop contentment, develop a certain contentment with what we have. If we have enough, and I dare say that here in Santa Barbara, at least, in Montecito, all of us, I hope, at least have a shelter and clothing and a roof over our head and enough food and some human companionship. These are the basic needs. If we have that, we can develop a certain contentment with life, with our situation in life. Then there's this beautiful idea that if we really want to know God, we have to struggle a little. We have to add a little fire to our meditation, a little intensity. The practice of meditation is to draw all the disparate currents of our mind into one and point it into one current that flows down into our hearts. That takes some fire. It takes some fire. That is also required for meditation. Then, a place of study in spiritual life, studying a little scriptural study, a little bit of looking at our own nature, our own mind, and finally, a beautiful cultivating self-surrender to the divine. However we may conceive of the divine, cultivating that surrender. All right, thy will, not mine. Thy will be done. Mother's will be done. Not I, but thou, in Sri Ramakrishna's language. Naham, tuhu, not I, but thou. Sharanagata, I throw myself on thy mercy. I take shelter at thy hallowed feet. Whatever you would do, Mother, that is what I accept. This self-surrender. This may seem kind of complicated. Oh my God, now I have to remember 10 things before I even start meditating. All right, well, it's not so. All these fall into place when we dedicate our lives to the divine, when we strive to live a life consecrated to the divine. So we might ask ourselves, do we really want spiritual life? Do we want spiritual life? I would answer for all of you. I'll give you an answer. The answer is yes, because otherwise you all wouldn't have come here on a Sunday morning. It's about to be a beautiful Sunday morning. The fog is lifting. You could be out hiking or drinking coffee at the local cafe in Montecito, but you come here. Why? Because you do want spiritual life. So, do we really want it? The spiritual life envisioned for us by Sri Ramakrishna is a unified life with all parts of it connected to the divine, all our actions consecrated to the divine, as we had in our beautiful song this morning, when we let the divine play us as we are the flute, and the divine is just playing us, and every part of it is connected to the divine. Daily meditation forms a cornerstone of that life. Daily drinking deep at the fountain of immortality, which is jetting forth deep within our hearts. So the first step maybe then is forming the intention. First step to a meditative life, forming the intention, yes, I want the spiritual life. Yes, I want to meditate. I want to dive deep in meditation. I've heard about deep meditation. Maybe I haven't started yet. I've heard all about it. Let me start. I gather that there are tremendous gems to be had, tremendous treasures that far surpass anything else. The gems of peace, the gem of true love, the gem of knowing ourselves to be indestructible. So, we've talked about, so far, these first steps, working on our character, and forming an intention to meditate, a desire to meditate. There's actually a beautiful Buddhist practice. Perhaps some of you know it. It's called, they call it bodhicitta, developing bodhicitta, which means something like an enlightened mind. They form the intention to attain enlightenment through the practice of meditation for the sake of all sentient beings. So sometimes people might accuse us, are you spending half an hour or an hour in meditation? What a waste of time. You're being selfish. You should rather be out serving people. But this is not so. Why? Because it is, if we can attain enlightenment, if we can attain some true measure of peace and spiritual joy, connection with the divine, we can be of much more tremendous service to our fellow human beings. If we attain true enlightenment, we can serve our human beings, our fellow humans, in the highest way possible, because the greatest gift we can give to another is the gift of spirituality. So this practice of developing an intention, not just for myself. I want the spiritual life for myself, yes, but so that I may be a greater force for good in this world. Let's talk about some practical points here in meditation. First, regularity. I don't know how many of you used to watch Batman as a kid. And at the end of the half hour, they would say, tune in tomorrow, or was it next week? Tune in next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. So like that, we also are going to tune in every day, same time, same channel. The channel is God, or the channel is that meditation. And we're going to do it same time. Why? The mind is a creature of habit. It's very difficult to tame the mind, but to develop a habit helps tame it. We get used to it. Every day we do it at the same time and in the same place. If we are new to meditation, if we are not meditating regularly, let me suggest that the best way to do this is to connect our practice of meditation to another habit we already have. So if we have a habit of, say, brushing our teeth in the morning, we can take an intention, okay, after I brush my teeth, I'm going to go to my chair and sit for meditation. Commit to connect it, or it could be our morning shower, or whatever it is, or after I drink my morning cup of coffee or tea, I'm going to go sit in my chair and meditate. Now here's a secret, and I learned this from one of my dear brother monks, and this is corroborated in the books that tell us how to cultivate new habits. Start small. Start very small. If I commit, I'm going to meditate every day for an hour. It's not going to happen. An hour is a long time. But if I commit every day to meditate for 3 minutes, heck, 3 minutes is nothing. I can do 3 minutes. You can do 3 minutes. Everyone here can do 3 minutes. So we connect it to a habit we already have, like after my morning coffee, or after I brush my teeth, or after I come home from work and change into my relaxing clothes, or whatever it is, whenever we're going to meditate. And I'm going to sit in my chair or sit on my cushion for 3 minutes and meditate. What happens is, even in those 3 minutes, we're going to start tasting a little joy, a little peace. And gradually, we're going to want to extend that. Naturally, it should come naturally. Let our joy extend the meditation. As my brother told me this morning, he suggested that. It's a beautiful, beautiful idea. So that's how we start a practice of meditation. Bite off just enough that we can really commit to it. 3 minutes, we can spare that. And see what happens. See what happens. Where should we meditate? Well, this temple is a great place. This temple is a fantastic place to meditate because people have been meditating here for 50 years, or how long? How long? 70 years people have been meditating here. 70 years there's been a worship performed here in the shrine. There's spiritual vibrations here. But the way the spiritual vibrations have been developed here, we can develop in our own homes as well. If we have the means, if we have the resources, it's wonderful to set aside a room just for meditation. Because gradually the atmosphere builds there, the vibrations build there. If we don't have those resources, we can set aside a corner of a room perhaps, have a little shelf with some holy book or holy picture or a flower or something that reminds us of our ideal, and we can sit there and remind ourselves. Maybe we burn a little incense, or we say some prayers, and then we have our 3-minute meditation. Swami Vivekananda suggests, if we're going to have a room set aside, he says, do not sleep in that room. It must be kept holy. You must not enter the room until you have bathed and are perfectly clean in body and mind. Place flowers in that room always. They are the best surroundings for a yogi. And pictures that are pleasing. Burn incense morning and evening. Have no quarreling, nor anger, nor unholy thought in that room. Only allow those persons to enter the room who are of the same thought as you. Then gradually there will be an atmosphere of holiness in the room, so that when you are miserable, sorrowful, doubtful, or your mind is disturbed, the very fact of entering that room will make you calm. So see, we develop the vibrations in a room. It's interesting, he says this, I just remember a little personal anecdote. When I first started meditating, in my bedroom, I made a little shrine. And I went to the hardware store, got some wood, nailed it together, sanded it, stained it, put some holy pictures on the shrine. And then I would pluck some flowers from the garden outside and lay them there and bow down. One day, as I was bowing down before that shrine, I felt something. It's like, whoa. So it's like there's a presence here. I couldn't name what that presence was, but I felt like there was a holy presence right there in my room, right at this little altar I had built. So this is the science of vibrations. And I had to go travel somewhere, and I asked the neighbor to look after the room and I guess probably water the plants or something. And when I came back, he told me, oh, I saw your room. It's such a nice atmosphere. Could I use that room I want to use it for an audition. I have an audition for this was in Hollywood. And so I said, well, I guess so. I told him, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess that would be okay. And as soon as he said that, and I hung up the phone, and suddenly I realized, oh my God, how can I let that guy go into my room and do an audition? I felt it was wrong because he was not of the same mindset as me. He was just using it for, getting a part in a movie. So I had to call him back and say, listen, I'm sorry, but I can't let you use my room. So what's a good time to meditate? Any time that you feel you can set aside is a good time. But those who practice meditation regularly often feel that the early morning is a wonderful time for meditation. Why? At the time of the sunrise and the sunset, it is felt that nature is in a certain harmony. And it's a very good time to meditate, that junction of day and night. However, the one at sunset is kind of lost in our busy culture nowadays. But the one in the morning, our minds are still refreshed from sleep. Hopefully we got enough sleep, and we're not yet thinking about all the things. Preferably we haven't checked our emails yet. Though it's hard, many people check them in bed, I know, because you can do it on that thing that's in everybody's pocket here. Before we check our emails, before we hear about the latest disaster at work or in the family or on the world stage, we go and sit for meditation. Maybe we can do a little holy reading. Sometimes helps set the mood for meditation. That's another step we can take before sitting for meditation. Read half a page or a few quotes from a great spiritual teacher, or read a page from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, something to put us in a spiritual mood. And if we have trouble with a family disturbing our meditation, early morning, the kids, if we have kids, they're still asleep maybe. We train our family members. When I'm in the shrine, don't bother me. I'll just be 3 minutes. How long do we meditate? Let that develop gradually. But I should say, because we say it's not the time, but the intensity, the sincerity of intention, how much we want to meditate. But if we're only meditating for 3 minutes a day, at the beginning, that's excellent. But after a couple of years, I hope that you would have developed the ability by a couple of years to meditate for 20 minutes or half an hour. That way it starts to go deep enough that it will stay with us the whole day. And we start to become a force for peace. Because we are affected by the vibrations of people around us. And likewise, we also affect the vibrations of people around us. If we have touched that deep peace within us, if we have tasted the divine joy in our meditation in the morning, then when we go to work, our co-workers will taste that. They will feel it. They might not know it, but unconsciously they will feel it, and they will respond to us differently. Now, let's move on to the next steps. In Vedanta, we often say, you are not your body, and you are not your mind. You are infinite spirit. And that's true. From the highest standpoint, we take that attitude. My true nature is infinite spirit, infinite consciousness. This body and this mind, they are not who I really am. But let's not forget that at this moment, I am operating through this body and through this mind. And there's a danger here, a danger that we ignore our physical and especially our mental health. After all, I'm not the body. Why should I take care of it? I'm not the mind. What's a little neurosis or what's a little PTSD? I'm not the mind. Why take care of it? We should take care of it. We take care of our body. We take care of our mind. This is the instrument. These are the instruments through which we are to realize. And also we tend to set up a dualism. We say, I am separate and I'm not the body or the mind, and the body and mind are also separate from each other. But actually, the body and mind are not separate from each other. They're intimately interwoven, and it's very difficult to make any line of demarcation. Well, here's where the body ends and the mind begins. They're just interlocked, and we, the spirit, is somehow caught in that web of mind and body. So we have mind, body, and consciousness all woven together, and that's who we are at present. So that's why we take the help of the physical, we take the help of the body to help calm and center the mind. So the first steps after our character development and forming the intention, and okay, we're going to meditate every day for 3 minutes at a certain time of day. And then what do? How are we going to meditate? Well, first of all, we're going to sit. Meditation we do seated. There's also walking meditation, and as we develop, we'll learn to have a meditative mood at all times, while we're cooking or driving or any time we have a certain meditative mood. But at the beginning, we're going to sit. We're not going to lie down because it's too much temptation to just fall asleep. So we're going to sit. And this is the third limb of the 8 limbs of yoga as described by the Raja Yoga teachers. It's called asana. Now, asana, many of you may know, it means the different poses we take in the yoga, the Hatha Yoga. But in this context, asana means how are you going to sit? In what way are you going to sit? Because we may not think about it, but there's many ways to sit. You can sit... in fact, there must be 40 people in this room, and there's 40 different ways people are sitting. Everybody sits in her or his own unique way. But when meditating, we choose a specific posture to sit in. And I frankly feel that we tend to ignore this very important step. because our posture reflects the mental attitude we want to take. And likewise, so if we're sitting and we're kind of slouching in the chair and leaning back, that's going to suggest to our minds a kind of lazy attitude. I'm feeling lazy, I'm just going to relax and lean back in the chair. What we're trying to cultivate in meditation is a mind that is at once relaxed and yet fully awake and attentive. So it's a kind of tension between these two almost opposing attitudes. One, relaxed, and two, awake, and maybe three, fully attentive. And yet, four, calm. All these. So how do we do that? We let that attitude reflect in the way we sit. So if we're sitting in a chair when we're going to meditate, unless you have some back injury or back problems, I would request you to try it this way. Sit with your back straight, not against the back of the chair. Sit. So if you're using a chair to meditate, scoot forward a little bit so you're not tempted. So you're fully grounded, your hips are fully placed in the chair, your feet are solidly on the ground, and your back is rising of its own, on your own power, not taking the help of the back of the chair to support your back. Because it's this kind of firmness that we want. We want a certain firmness of mind and a firmness of body. So the back should be straight, the head should not be bending down or back, it should be straight, and yet relaxed. So we don't have to struggle because it's balanced on itself. The weight of the head and shoulders is balanced on the top of the spine, and we can place our hands in our lap, relaxed, and start. There's also people who like to sit on the floor. For people who have not done that, it can be difficult to train our legs to sit on the floor. However, I personally love sitting on the floor. It provides a certain extra stability because the floor doesn't move and you can't fall off the floor. It's a wonderful stability. And many people use, oh, look, these are great help. Why? Because it lifts up your backside off the floor a little bit, a meditation cushion, and you can get a more stable position. Sometimes you can even get your knees down on the floor, so they're touching the floor. Wonderfully stable position. That reflects what we want, something stable and firm and yet relaxed and awake, and this forms a wonderful foundation for our meditation. So I would encourage you not to ignore this. And let me read you what Swami Vivekananda says about this asana. Firmness of seat means that you do not feel the body at all. In the ordinary way, you will find that as soon as you sit for a few minutes for meditation, all sorts of disturbances come into the body. But when you have got beyond the idea of a concrete body, you will lose all sense of the body. So he suggests that the teachers of yoga suggest that we attain a certain mastery in the way we sit, so that the idea is that we can sit in one posture without moving for a long time, for the whole length of our meditation. Now, we know when we start, we sit, we take our position, and within 2 minutes, my nose is itching. Oh my God, I got to itch my nose. Okay, itch my nose. Okay, start again. And then my knee is starting to hurt. Okay, shift a little bit. Okay, now start again. Oh, now my back is aching. Okay, shift again. So we're constantly moving body, moving mind. So it takes some time to gain some mastery over the body in this seat, in this asana. But it's worth the attempt. Okay, don't scratch. Just breathe. Let it go. That itch will pass. It's the mind trying to distract you. The mind saying, I don't want to meditate. I'll make you itch so you can't meditate. I'll make your knee hurt so you can't meditate. So if if unless it's severe pain, a little aching is not going to injure us. If it's severe pain, that means change your position. So it takes a little struggle. In fact, Swami Vivekananda recommends a body scan in one place. It's a beautiful suggestion. He says, begin with your toes and think of each part of your body as perfect. Picture it so in your mind. Pass upward bit by bit until you reach the head, thinking of each part as perfect, lacking nothing. Then think of the whole as perfect, an instrument given to you by God to enable you to attain truth. The vessel in which you are to cross the ocean and reach the shores of eternal truth. So this is the practice of how do we sit. Now, the next step, this is also a body-mind practice, is how do we breathe? Our breath is a unique physical function because, unlike all the other physical functions, it is both an unconscious process and can also be controlled consciously. Heartbeat, it goes on unconsciously. Digestion, unconscious. Kidney function, unconscious. Writing, only conscious. Chewing, pretty much only conscious. Making music, we have to be conscious to do that. But breathing, most of us have not been thinking about our breathing over the last hour. But we're still here, we're still alive, we're still breathing. Breathing goes on. But if I tell all of you, now take a deep breath and hold it, you can all do it consciously. So, it is controlled by both the involuntary autonomic nervous system and the voluntary somatic nervous system. It's a bridge between the conscious and the unconscious, between the body and the mind. So that's why, in Vivekananda's words, the first lesson in breathing is just to breathe in a measured way, in and out. That will harmonize the system. How to breathe? We know about diaphragmatic breathing, I think most of us. The engine of our breath is in the diaphragm. And the diaphragm pushes down and the belly comes out. And breath comes in. And finally, at the end, the chest expands. So we're not breathing from the chest, we're breathing from the belly. And then we can push out a lot more than most of us do. We can exhale fully by letting the belly come in and push the air out. So we're breathing in, slowly, out. In, out. This is breathing in a measured way. And we will find that this has a tremendous calming effect on our minds. If the mind is restless, we breathe in this way, calms the mind. It's a tremendous help in meditation. A whole limb of the 8 limbs of yoga is dedicated to this. It's called pranayama. Now, prana is actually the energy within the body, and the manifestation of it is the breath. But as we get hold of the breath, gradually we get hold of the finer nerve currents. It's a wonderful tool in our meditation, not to be ignored. Swami Vivekananda suggests when you have practiced this rhythmic breathing for some time, you will do well to join to it the repetition of some sacred word, like Om. He suggests Om or any other sacred word. Let the word flow in and out with the breath, rhythmically, harmoniously, and you will find that the whole body is becoming rhythmical. So this is these are the first 4 steps in meditation, the foundations that we've discussed, developing our character and forming the intention, being regular in our practice, sitting properly, and adding our breath and attending to our breath. Now, this is a huge subject, and if I get a chance, the next time maybe I can talk about some of the next steps. Let me give you just a taste of some of the next steps. First of all, where do we meditate? Where do we place our minds? In our Vedantic tradition, mostly we are asked to place our minds in our hearts. And Swami Vivekananda suggests that this next step, which is, I'm not going to elaborate much, but after we do this rhythmic breathing and we've taken our seat, he says, send a current of holy thought to all creation. Mentally repeat, let all beings be happy, let all beings be peaceful, let all beings be blissful. And he suggests, do it to the east, to the south, to the north, to the west, above and below. Send a current of holy thought to all creation, to all beings. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. What does this do? It opens our hearts. We start to develop that compassion, that love for others. So this is the next step Swami Vivekananda suggests for a deeper practice of meditation. So, let me touch ever so briefly on two formidable obstacles in meditation. One is restlessness of mind. We're trying, but the mind is so restless. And the remedy for this is simply, well, one we've talked about, focusing on our breath, breathing rhythmically, harmoniously. And second is just practice. Just keep doing it. Don't beat yourself up when the mind gets really restless. Just keep coming back to it. And cultivate a little detachment. What are we thinking about? We're thinking about work. Okay, let it be. Put it in the hands of the divine. Let it go. Let it go. Detachment and repeated practice. That's the main remedy for restlessness. And the other obstacle is sleep. This is a very sneaky obstacle because it sneaks up on us. And we think we're meditating, and then we find that our head is down on our chest. And I've seen people who they sit down. There's one gentleman I know who the moment he would sit down, within like 2 minutes, he'd be snoring. And it's without realizing it. That's the danger. So the first step to this obstacle of sleep is watching, becoming aware if it's creeping up on us. If my head starts to nod, I realize, oh, it's creeping up on me. Open your eyes. Breathe deep. If you need to get up and go splash some cold water on your face, come and sit back down. Break that slide into unconsciousness. And get enough sleep. That gentleman whom I mentioned, turned out that he had sleep apnea. He wasn't sleeping well at night. He got a CPAP machine, changed his life. So there's that too. And finally, there's one non-scriptural remedy. It's not supported by our scriptures, but it is sort of supported by a permission from a Holy Mother, our Holy Mother Sri Sarada Devi, which is to drink a cup of tea or coffee before meditation. And I confess that I follow this method, and it has helped me a lot. So finally, the most important ingredient in spiritual life, says Sri Ramakrishna again and again, is to really want it, to really want God, to long for God. That's the most important element in our meditation too. When we have that longing, we're going to want to meditate. And then we start to taste a little joy, a little peace. We're going to want to have it more. So it's a long road. It's well worth the traveling it. It's well worth taking this road, the road of spiritual practice, the road of daily meditation, the road of dedicating our whole life, consecrating our whole life to the divine. Our life becomes one of peace and joy and blessing to ourselves and others. So thank you very much for giving me the chance to share my thoughts on meditation, the first steps.
see your face in the sun, making days so very bright. I see your face in the moon, lighting up the darkest night. I see your face in each flower and in every drop of dew. Oh, everywhere I look, there are you. I see you in the mountains with such silent majesty. I see you in the treetops and in birds that fly so free. I see you in the eyes of friends when they look back at me. Oh, everywhere I look, there are you. Even when dark clouds sometimes hide the sun, and your face seems hidden, and I feel so all alone, I still know that I'm your child, surrounded by your grace. Please keep me ever close to you and show your precious face. I see you in each step I take, in every place I may be, in every face before my eyes, in waves upon the sea, in each and every pleasure, and even in my pain. Oh, everywhere I look, there are you. I see you in my hopes and fears, and in my every song. I see you in my smiles and tears. To you I do belong. You're the soul within me, and the love within my heart. Oh, everywhere I look, there are you. Yes, you're the soul within me, and the love within my heart. Oh, everywhere I look, there are you. Yes, everywhere I look, there are you. There are you. There are you.
Thank you, Jayanti, for beautiful music. Next week, our speaker will be Swami Vedarupananda. His topic, The Puzzle of Personal Identity. Who am I? And other classes every Wednesday at 5 p.m., almost every Wednesday. Pravajika Krishna Prana is reading from the book on Swami Trigunatitananda. It's a kind of a series. She's reading the different biographies of the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, these great saints in our Vedanta lineage. And on Saturdays at 5 p.m., typically there's a class, the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, with Swami Chidbrahmananda. Unless there's a visiting Swami, or if Swami Sarvadevananda is here, it's Bhagavad Gita. And every month there's Karma Yoga, thanks to those who came yesterday and tasted the joy of working together at the convent and monastery. Any other announcements? That's it. Okay. So this announcement, I was asked I was mentioned to me that many of the speakers, they have a little session after the talk to answer questions or have a little further discussion. So I'm willing to do that. So after I meet you at the door, I'll come back here and we can have 15, 20 minutes of discussion, or we can talk about, practical seating postures and those kind of things, if you're interested. I'll close with a chant. Om Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Kayena Vacha Manasendriyarva Buddhyatmana Va Prakrite Svabhavat Karomi yadyat sakalam parasmai narayanayeti samarpayami. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Thou art my mother, my father, thou. Thou art my friend, my companion, thou. Thou art my knowledge, my wealth, thou. Thou art my all in all, the light of lights, the Supreme Lord. Whatever we do through our body, speech, mind, senses, intellect, soul, or even unconscious natural impulses, all that we dedicate as an offering to the Supreme Lord. Om, peace, peace, peace. I thought it would be a little more informal. Well, have you got any questions, comments? Oh, well, I was going to tell you whatever I thought was to be. Look, we don't have to do it all formally like this. Okay, is it streaming? Okay, well, all right, let's talk. Okay, yes, you have something to say? Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about I talked about the asana and how important it is. Let's do a demonstration. You can give me the microphone, then I can show you how we sit on a chair and how we sit on the floor. Okay? Because this is, I feel this is really an important and oftentimes neglected part of meditation. So I'm doing sideways so you can see. If I was going to sit in this chair for meditation, I won't sit like this. And definitely not like this. I'll sit on the front half of the chair like this. And I'll place my feet nice and firm on the floor. And if the chair is a little low for me, as it sometimes is, I will actually sit on a cushion on the chair so that it's the right height. So that and for some people, the chair is too high, they'll put a cushion under their feet so to bring their feet up. Now, for me, that doesn't work at all. This works, but there are chairs that are too low, then I put a cushion here. And in fact, this is also quite nice. It's stable. I've got, the tripod is a very stable form, right? So this forms a tripod, actually. This is 1, and then 2 and 3. So it's very stable. And see how the back is nice and straight? I think it's straight. Is it straight? You can see. And we'll put our hands in our lap like this. And simply by taking this position already, because when we do this every day, we sit in this position, the mind automatically knows, this is the meditation posture. And the mind starts getting in that mood for meditation. So this is a wonderful way to sit, really firm and light. And what as Swami Vivekananda describes, as we get established in a position, we start to forget the body. And the mind starts to go a little deeper. So one thing we can do that I find also very helpful, that Swami Vivekananda also just suggests, this body scan, to feel that I'm sitting on a chair, yes, but the chair is touching The earth actually is touching the floor of the temple is touching the earth. I'm touching the earth, I'm rooted to the earth, which is very solid, not completely solid, as we know in California, but with earthquakes, but very solid and unmoving. So I also want that posture. Should be no strain. I'm not straining to keep my body from moving. It's naturally not moving. I relinquish the desire to move. So we can scan the whole body, starting with the feet, going up through the legs, and feel the solidity, and feel that my legs are perfect as they are, and they are full of light, and they don't need to move at all. Sri Ramakrishna had the very interesting experience when he would sit for meditation. He would hear little clicking sounds as the joints locked, and they wouldn't unlock until he finished his meditation. So we can feel that without any strain, still the body is becoming perfectly solid and still. And we can go all the way up the spine, all the way to the top of the head, and the arms, feel that the whole body is completely motionless. And then the only part of the body which is going to be moving is the belly as we breathe, and possibly a little bit the ribs. So let's try that for just a moment. We're holding this position. We might want to adjust, and as we scan, we find, shoulders have a little tension, let that go. Oh, I'm slouching a little, straighten that out. No strain. If you're interested in sitting on the floor, one of the most wonderful ways to sit is in what's called the Padmasana, the lotus posture. But I can't do that anymore myself. It hurts my knees. If you have kids, teach your kids to sit that way. It's a tremendously solid posture. And I used to meditate sitting that way, and it gives a solidity that you can't imagine you have to experience. You put the one foot on the opposing thigh, so it becomes like this. And it's tremendously solid because it's locked in. And so you can sit like that, but I can't sit like this for long, maybe a couple of minutes before it'll start hurting. And if you put a cushion under the back, then see the solidity here. It's 3 points, 1, 2, 3. And it's a wonderful position. But this is something that it takes a lot of practice. What's a lot easier is this is called Burmese posture. If you sit under this cushion and you can fold your leg under and just sit like this with the legs flat on the ground, you've got 2 knees on the floor and you've got your backside supported. This is also a very nice way to keep the back completely straight, and then your hands can go in your lap like this. And some people like to put their hands on their knees. That's also okay. They'll make this jnana mudra and put their hands on their knees. I prefer in the lap, like the picture of Swami Vivekananda, if you know that picture of Swamiji. And this is also very, very solid. What happens if we don't use a cushion, though in India you don't see yogis using a cushion much, but what tends to happen is that the back, this lower part of the back tends to get rounded. It's hard to keep it perfectly straight. And the cushion helps a lot with that. But this is called the Sukhasana, the comfortable, happy pose, as it were, the comfortable pose, where you just sit cross-legged. And if over time you can develop this posture also. One of our great teachers of meditation, Swami Yatishwaranda, who wrote the very helpful book called Meditation and Spiritual Life. It's a big, thick book like that. Actually, he didn't write it. It was put together from his writings and teachings by Swami Mahayogananda. But it's a wonderful reference for meditative life. He suggests that we have 2 positions that we can switch between. So if we're doing a longer meditation, if we start to feel uncomfortable in one, we can switch to the other. And that might be as simple as switching which leg folds in first. It might be something as simple as that. Or some people, they'll switch and sit on their knees for a little bit like this. And that's also a stable posture. From the Zen Buddhists, you'll learn that if you put a cushion under here, that becomes nice. That becomes easier on the knees, like this. Or they make those little benches, they call them seiza benches, that you can sit on. This is also a stable posture. Nice stable posture. Some people prefer that. I've tried it. It doesn't work for me, but it really works for some people. So it's something to know. It's also very stable, though it's actually 4 points. It's 1, 2, 3, but then you also have these there. But it's also a good position. Personally, I now mostly sit on the cushion with my legs just crossed like this, because knees are getting old. They're almost 60 years old. So, but it's still solid. My knees are resting on my feet, which are on the ground. So it's still a kind of 3 points, and this works for me. But the importance of keeping the back straight. Why? First of all, because that way, actually, there's no strain in supporting the weight of the body when the back is straight. If the back is over, then actually gravity is pulling on the head, and we have to counteract that. If it's straight, it's all in one line. Secondly, there are nerve currents which pass through the channel in the spine. There's a channel in the spine through which the nerve currents move, and in deeper meditation, these currents rise. So we want to keep the spine straight, so to allow those currents to move freely. So that's a little bit more about asana.
You mentioned something about
Jnana mudra, you can see how these different mudras, these different ways of holding the hands, affect our minds in subtly different ways. And you probably would notice it if just by trying. Sri Ramakrishna actually suggests to the jnana meditation, this is recounted in Great Master, sit in the lotus posture or sit and put your hands in the jnana mudra. And for devotional meditation, put the hands over the heart. That was his instructions. So that's also, I prefer keeping them here. But then we also have the practice of japa, which is a big part of our meditation, which is repetition of a mantra. And gradually, if we do it right, we focus intently on the sound, each sound in the mantra, each syllable of the mantra, we repeat it, we focus on that, and that takes us deeper. And it's typically involves a name for the divine. And in connection with that, many of us use what's called a mala. It means a string of beads, and each bead is, the beads are advanced one by one as we repeat the mantra. And so then, of course, the hand has to be kept up by the heart so that it doesn't, we don't want the mala to touch the floor typically. So we hold it here and we repeat the mantra while moving the finger across the bead. And the interesting thing is that little connection, that little motion of the hand or the finger while repeating the mantra, for many people find that it helps their concentration. It connects the mantra to the body. So it's not purely a mental practice, it's also a physical practice. But it's not enough motion to disturb our minds. It's just a very small motion. We repeat the mantra while moving the finger across the bead. And there's typically 108 beads in a mala, plus one more called a guru bead. And we don't count the guru bead. When we reach the guru bead, we stop and we turn around and go the other direction if we're going to do more than 108. That's the tradition in our lineage. So that's that. That's about it. Yes? Oh, mantras. Well, for starters, you can use a mantra that you prefer. As Swami Vivekananda suggested, start with Om. That's the universal mantra. So Om is a very good mantra. We also have a tradition in our lineage of what's called spiritual initiation. And that's for people who are sure that they want to enter this lineage and practice within this lineage. In that case, they receive a mantra from, typically from the senior Swami, who is the head of our center. And he will give some instructions in meditation, and he'll give this mantra. And when the mantra is given, some power is given along with it. Some power comes along with that mantra. It's like planting a seed. And when we repeat the mantra, that seed is awakened and it turns into a sprout and gradually into a plant, etc. All the unfolding of spiritual life is helped a lot by that initiation. So it's actually a kind of a sacred ceremony. So it's not something that I can just say, well, here's your mantra. It's done in a sacred ceremony, and it does presuppose a certain commitment that, yes, I'm going to do this every day. I'm going to repeat my mantra every day, a minimum of 108 times, perhaps, which can take, you can do 108 probably starting out. It goes a little slower. You can get a little faster as it goes on, but probably 5 or 6 minutes at the beginning you can do it. So it's not such a huge commitment, but ideally there's a minimum commitment. And we step into that lineage. So, and then that becomes our mantra, because choosing our own mantra is good for starters, but at a certain point, which mantra? Well, this one isn't working for me today. I'm going to try that one. And if we change the mantra all the time, then that's not going to take us deep. We want to stick with the same mantra. So, yes.
I find that if I do diaphragm breathing like at first, and then I do
Mm-hmm.
do the mantra that way, that it really puts me into a state of concentration
Mm-hmm.
and meditation.
Great, yes. Yeah, as we practice, we find our path, our particular way of meditating. And if we received initiation, it said we should follow those instructions implicitly, but we can always add to them and expand them. So I've also developed certain prayers, certain visualizations I do at the beginning of my meditation that I do pretty much every day, every morning. Before I start the meditation proper, I do certain visualizations, whatever, and those help me to go deeper. That's probably unique to me, and you have found yours. And I'm sure that Swami C has found his, and you'll have your, whoever meditates, if you're regular about it, you'll know what works for you. Yes.
Yeah, kind of expanding on that idea. So generally, would you say it's highly suggested to stick to one lineage, or what's the kind of?
Yeah, we have this beautiful tradition that all paths lead to the divine. All paths, if you follow a path sincerely, that's the most important part, sincerity and longing. Now, people will say, well, Sri Ramakrishna, look, he practiced so many different traditions. He even practiced in Christianity and Islam. Why not me? And yes, that's true, he did. But he attained perfection. He had the division of Divine Mother, and it became absorbed in Mother before he started practicing other traditions, other lineages. And he has a nice parable of the man who wanted to dig a well. And so he goes into his backyard and he starts digging, and he hits sand, and it's really hard to dig. The sand keeps collapsing, so he decides this is not a good place to dig. I'll dig over there. And he changes to another place. He starts digging, and he hits a bed of clay. It's rock hard. So he decides this is not a good place to dig. I'll go somewhere else. And there he finds soil is too rocky. It's too hard to dig. So what happens? He never gets water. So that's why Sri Ramakrishna suggests stick to one path, get water. There is water. The water of the divine is flowing deep within us. But we dig in one place to get it. Now, I have also heard the argument, in fact, I used it myself as a young man when I was still discerning my path. I'm not digging in different places. I'm digging in the same place, but sometimes I'm using a shovel, sometimes I'm using a spade, sometimes I'm using a pick. I'm digging in the same place. So sometimes I do Buddhist meditation, sometimes I do Hindu meditation, sometimes I do Sufi meditation. At the beginning of spiritual life, I think that's wonderful. It opens our mind, it broadens our understanding. We realize there's so many beautiful practices in different traditions. But at a certain point, I felt the need to dive deep in one path. Not that I've forgotten those other things, they still inform my practice. And I'm still very glad that I know about them. I know about Buddhist meditation, and sometimes some of those practices may influence my practice, but my practice is this lineage. So that's my conclusion about it. Yes. Yes.
I had this expectation that with meditation comes the peace.
Yes.
But as a beginner, I guess, or in my stage, it's the opposite. It brings up things. And then I might sit for 10 minutes, let's say.
Yes.
And then I have to go on with my day.
Yes.
And it conflicts with, because things come around and I need to deal with those where I have to do my duties out in the world.
I see.
You have something about that, where then, not at the time of meditation, but when we travel inside a day.
Okay, so, well, you're meditating in the morning then, or you're meditating right before work, or?
Yes, if I do it in the morning,
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to get it almost in the evening.
So that you don't have that problem, huh? No, that's a good idea.
I have more time.
Meditation does tend to stir up things in the beginning. That's true. Part of it is that we start to become aware of how restless our minds are. The mind was already restless, but we weren't aware of it. And when we try to focus in meditation, we suddenly become aware of those things. But what can happen in meditation is that because we're starting to develop concentration, but then we start concentrating on those issues that are coming up. So that rather than letting those go and returning our focus to our breathing, or returning our focus to the mantra, or to our spiritual ideal, or a prayer or something, we start intensely concentrating on that childhood trauma that I had, or that conflict I had with my boss last week, and what am I going to do about it? And so then it's no longer actually meditation. Then it's thinking concentratedly about something in my life. So the art is to recognize when I'm no longer meditating, when my mind has been diverted, and now I'm thinking about my work difficulties, or my relationship difficulties, or my whatever it may be, or my desire for vacation, where I want to go for my next vacation. All these things come up. And so the sooner we recognize, oh yes, I've become distracted, bring my mind back, that repeated that practice of repetition, that, okay, we're going to get distracted in meditation. It happens to all of us. Recognizing it, oh yes, let it go. And it doesn't work to forcefully reject it. It works rather to say, okay, that's there, let it go. Come back to my mantra, or come back to my breath, come back to my center. I would suggest trying that. Yes.
Sounds like the way my mom says it. She says, put it on the train. You hear that train whistle blowing, you put it on the train and let it take it away.
Nice.
Which it works.
Nice. Put it on the train. Yeah, very nice. Yes. Yes.
Would you say when practicing mantra, is there any opinion on if it's good or bad to face any direction, or is it a bad idea to sit up in my bed and do the mantra? Do you have any suggestions on what to do or not to do there?
As far as you mean the cardinal directions, whether to sit north, facing north or east, or those things. Yeah, I don't follow those things.
No, totally. Yeah.
But when we do a puja, worship, typically they say sit facing north or facing east. So that's a minor thing. To sit and repeat the mantra anywhere is great. The one caution about the bed is that our bed is typically associated with sleep. And in meditation, we want to avoid sleep. So there is that danger that if you meditate in bed, the mind will be tempted to sleep more than if we're meditating, say, on a cushion or on the floor or in a chair or something like that.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mhm.
So, I mean, realistically, it doesn't matter what's in front of us. We can sit down and do the meditation anywhere, and it can be just as helpful.
It is always good. I did suggest that choosing a place where maybe there's a holy picture or a holy book or something that reminds you of your ideal, that can also be helpful. So, but it's not essential, of course. But you try meditating in a big airport with all kinds of people roaming around, or meditating here in this temple. You see a difference, right? So, a place makes a difference. But if we didn't find time for a meditation and there we are at the airport, well, then better to do it there than not at all. So, yes. Good. Well, thank you for your questions and thanks for coming. And I encourage you in your practice of meditation. And thanks to my brother for his support and his helpful comments. He's the one who told me who told about start with the 3 minutes. Actually, 2 minutes, right?
I started with 2 minutes.
Yeah. It's amazing. Okay, I think we can wrap up here and